All right, everybody. Welcome to this month's uh, advancement seminar. The main presenters tonight are going to be Tom Wetzel and John Chukla. Part of things they're going to look at is just kind of some of the basics on how to go about and work the different items in Scoutbook, particularly advancement. Questions kind of both addressing both the Cub Scout and the Scouts BSA level. The other items that we're also going to look at was that there was a request to have some discussion about how to import summer merit badges from the Black Pug system. So we're going to try to address some of those ideas. And we're also going to record this session just so that we have it for posterity and possibly go through and post it on the webpage for future people who were not able to make it tonight. All right, so with that, I'll hand the reins over to Tom and John, and let you guys take it from there.
And Andrew Campbell, who he was on our last webinar, and he graciously agreed to sit in on this one. And so I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully I'm going to get the right. Here we go. Perfect. And we're going to keep this, relatively short, because we want to address primarily the questions that you all have about your particular issues related to Scoutbook. I mean, we could talk about a lot of different things. The last session that we did in March was almost an hour and a half. We don't need that much time. So I want to just do a couple of quick things. One is address some basic problems. The biggest one that Pat mentioned is how to input advancements to Black Pug. We got a lot of questions at summer camp about that, so we wanted to put that at front and center. And I've gotten questions about that, and we didn't address it in the last session. So I want to, we want to take your questions, whatever you think is relevant, any issue that you have with Scoutbook or internet advancement. We're prepared to address those. Pat, myself, John, and Andrew, and we'll go from there. I'm adding one thing that you see on your screen, something that came in actually this morning on the Scouting Wire that I thought was interesting. And for those of you who are interested, they were making available a printable planner for your unit and some suggested themes. So if you're still working on issues with what are we going to do this year and when are we going to do it, you can certainly download this calendar and some suggestions, and it might give you some help. I'll put this also in the chat so that you can readily download it as well. Moving on to Scoutbook. The first thing, if you're not familiar with Scoutbook and you really want to get a primer, the best thing to do is to go to the national site, because they've got a whole section on Scoutbook, and it can lay out a lot of the details. And I'm going to put a link in here as well for that, so you can take a look at it and at your leisure. Because a lot of units don't use Scoutbook to its maximum potential. And I've had plenty of people tell me once they learned Scoutbook, that they realize it can be complicated, it can be a little daunting, but once they've mastered it, it makes their lives 10 times easier, keeping track of advancement issues and troop issues. And every unit uses it a little bit differently, but it's really designed for you to keep track, and for your scouts to stay in track of all their rank advancements. Even if they leave the council, they go to another state, if all that record follows them. And that's a good thing to remember. Another issue that we frequently get is from troop leaders is or pack leaders. Why should we care about all of this aside from the logical issues? Why do we should enter service hours, which is always a perennial problem? And the simple answer to that is that it helps you document exactly the good works that you're doing in your community. It keeps track of them, and then we and in those who are functioning in the development area as well as yourselves, when somebody asks you, well, what does scouting do? What's the value of it aside from mentoring youth, which is important enough? But you can go back to, if you're tracking your service hours, you're in a position to say, well, our troop, in fact our council or our district, um, has put together, we spent 575 hours last year on doing good works in our community, and then you can tick off some of the projects that helps you sell scouting to the local community, that you're giving back not just to the youth but to the community itself. And that helps in development because then they're more predisposed to, well, let me support you in what you're doing. I'll come to your pancake breakfast. I'll buy your wreaths, or I'll even make a donation to scouting, all of which is made possible by the fact that you can demonstrate the good that scouting does in your community. We all understand that, but it's oftentimes you need to measure it. And Scoutbook enables you to do that if you're entering service hours. Here is the link to Scoutbook. And again, I'll put this in the chat right now so that you can um, download it and take it from there. Just a quick um, definition of Scoutbook versus internet. There's been some confusion about that. We covered this in the last session, but I thought I'd repeat it here. Um, Scoutbook is about adding things to the Scout, badges or advancements, and it provides quick paths to tasks and it allows the administrator to delegate tasks. Internet advancement is more about creating things and adding the Scout to them. It's slower and it's better used on a desktop. But the key thing is you have to have it only used by the key 3. And so for everybody, you'll have access to your Scout. If you're a parent or if you're a leader, you'll have access to the Scouts in your pack or troop. And here's just some of the listings of what the differences are, what it provides, internet advancement versus Scoutbook. And Scoutbook, some troops don't use all of the calendar or the email capabilities. They use other things, and that's okay. Um, but the key thing is to keep track of your unit um, and your specific Scouts. That's indispensable. And eventually, you should be taking advantage or at least examining all the other uses that Scoutbook has, because it's a long list. As I said at the outset, the number one issue that we were getting anecdotally over the last several months was how to import merit badge information from Scoutbook to Black Pug. And so that became our highest priority. And John Kula is on our call, but he didn't know whether he was going to be called into the Court of Honor, which is taking place as we speak. So he was kind enough and gracious enough to record a demonstration of how you import information from Scoutbook from Black Pug. And so I'm going to just turn that on and let him talk in a recorded session, and then afterwards we can continue and have additional questions. Now I'm going to have to let's
And
see.
I am here, Tom, so I could do it live too if you needed to.
If you've got, if you got that, that, because that was a nice, it was only 6 minutes. If you got it on your screen, or can you?
I could just do it again because it took me 6 minutes to record it. It'll take me 6 minutes to explain it. So
Okay.
we can just do that.
Go
So,
for it.
do I have permission to share my screen here? I cannot. Oh, you need to stop sharing so that I could share my screen.
Okay. Perfect.
And I'll apologize for the applause that you may hear behind me. Like Tom said, there is a court of honor in the room.
I'll
right
give you
now.
a round of applause, John.
All right, so let me try and share screen, and let's do what screen did I put it on? I put it there. So share screen. We'll do this one. Share. All right. I hope you are seeing my Scoutbook page right now.
Yes.
All right. So let me get some stuff out of the way and go back to home and dashboard. So first of all, in order to do any of the Black Pug imports into Scoutbook, it's important that you have this extra little tool called the Feature Assistant for Scoutbook added on. Now, if you do have it, you'll see a little icon near the top of your screen here, and it says Feature Assistant extension for Scoutbook has access to the site. If you do not have it, you need to be using either Chrome or Edge or Firefox. Those are the browsers it works with. You can simply Google Feature Assistant for Scoutbook, and it came up for me because I looked for it yesterday. And the first hit that comes up goes to the Chrome Web Store, and this is where you could install it. I already have it installed, so I get a remove button, but if you don't have it yet, you'll have a button to install it from here. So it's a free extension that was developed by a team of guys who knows a lot about Scoutbook and how to do some coding in the background, and they made these tools to make our lives easier. So once you have that installed, what you find is that once you get into your Scoutbook, you're going to have extra buttons you never saw before. For instance, I'm going to click into my troop page here, and oh look, now there's a button that says import merit badge advancements. That button wasn't there until you have that feature extension installed. So I'm going to pause on the Scoutbook side here for a moment, and I'm going to go over to the Black Pug side. So when we talk about Black Pug, everybody says, what is this Black Pug thing? I don't know what this is. Well, Black Pug is simply the portal that our council uses to register for events. So here in PTAC, we use Black Pug for Owassipee. We use it for all the Cub camps and all that, and even a lot of other meetings and such, we use it. But we use it heavily for summer camp at Owassipee. That's how they track all of the accomplishments of the scouts when they're up at camp. So it's always important to keep your registration link for summer camp, because you're going to come back to this particular registration all the time. This one happens to be my my troops session 4 from this year. So this was live, and it has real scouts who achieved real things in it. So I'm going to click over to the reports page in this event, and we're going to scroll down in reports until we find the option that says Scoutbook export. When we click on this file, it's going to give you this little kind of poorly labeled button that says preview report. So you click that button to preview the report, and it's going to download it. So you're going to see it here in your downloads tab here. Mine has a little +1 on the end because I did it just yesterday, and I still have a file with that same name. So I can't close this because hang on, the Zoom screen is in my way. How do I move it? There we go. Okay. So once you've done that, you're done with your Black Pug. Now you get this neat little file in your it's a CSV file that contains every item and every merit badge that they did. Now, the CSV file actually does contain stuff for rank advancement, like if you did Pathfinder and you've got your Tenderfoot second class, first class rank requirement, that's in the file. However, Scoutbook doesn't import that data. It only does merit badges at present. So we're going to come back over here to Scoutbook and we're going to click on input merit badge advancement. So we get this button. First of all, choose the file. So we're going to go into our download. We're going to open the file that we just downloaded, scoutbookexport.csv, and you have three options here. First is whether or not to import the requirements. So if you choose yes here, it's going to granularly mark each of the individual requirements that are coming over from Blackpuck. The next option is complete merit badges. So this one tripped me up at first. This isn't a verb, it's a noun. So it doesn't mean that it's going to automatically complete the merit badges that they worked on. It means that you're going to import complete merit badges as well. One thing you're going to find from summer camp is certain merit badge counselors aren't going to track every requirement individually and put those granular requirements into Scoutbook. They may just says, yes, you completed it. I found that this happened at the rifle range. It happens once or twice at the STEM area this year. So sometimes they're tracking it on paper separately. They don't tick all the individual requirement boxes if the scout completed it. So you do want to make sure that you do click this on to make sure that any complete merit badges did come over. And this third option is leader approve. So you may or may not want to check this button. I choose to check it because it automatically marks things approved in Scoutbook because I've already looked at this at the blue cards and I know what's in there is accurate and I want it approved right away. If you choose to do an extra step and actually verify the things that are in Scoutbook that need to be approved and go through it yourself later, you could leave this unchecked. So this is a workflow decision on your part when you go to import it. So once you've done that, we click the import file button. Now, I've already imported this file into my troop here, so it's going to throw some errors. But that's normal because I've already done it. All right, the next step of here, it's going to try and resolve names. So this girl, who's my daughter, Katie Chukla, can't be found on my troop roster. Well, that's because she's on my troop roster with her formal name, Catherine. So I'm going to have to go and select her proper name and hit set. Same thing here. This girl has a formal name and she was registered for camp under her informal name. This one too. I don't have a very big troop. That didn't take long. Okay. So now it's going to go through and look for all of the stuff. And this is going to spin and spin and spin for a minute because it's comparing everything on those scouts records against what is in the Scoutbook import. And as you can see, I'm getting a bunch of errors listed over here. And all of these errors are just telling me that this person already started this merit badge, this person got it completed and all that because I've already imported all this stuff. So it's skipping all of these steps right now. And this is eventually just going to end having done nothing just because I've already done it. Does anybody have any questions up to this point? Anybody?
The response is deafening, John.
It is. It sure is. That was very simple. It's actually really an easy process once you know where to go at what steps here. Tom,
John, I've got a question before
go
you.
ahead.
I've been importing though. I didn't have the black. I've got the report, but I don't have the extension. So I was doing it. I've still been able to do it, but I'm not having trouble, but understanding where they say they've completed, but actually when you look at some of the things, they aren't checked.
So
they aren't checked off, and that's some of the problems I think we had this year.
So in Scoutbook here, let me pick now I'm gonna have to try and remember who did what. Let me look at, I think environmental science might have been one of those examples. So I'm going to click on this girl's environmental sciences. No, this wasn't one. I'm trying to think of a scout here that I had that issue with.
I had it with astronomy. I think.
Okay. What
They
else?
have had astronomy.
Yeah, I don't remember them doing astronomy this year. Let me think. But astronomy would be EcoCon, right? So who else did an EcoCon badge? Let me look at what do we got here? I'm pretty sure rifle was one of them that I had issues with. So let me take a look at this one.
I might have had that too. I'm gonna look myself.
It's no, this one's all checked. Well, the bottom line is now that I got this open, there's two ways you can go through even in Scoutbook, excluding the import process. You could either check all of the boxes for the requirements and actually track step by step what people are doing. And at whatever point you've checked enough boxes that you've got the A or B or C or however that
Right.
is structured, once you've qualified for it, it's going to automatically mark it completed up top. However, if you choose to not do all the granular check boxes for all these steps, you could click this complete button yourself. So if you're using a paper process or something, you don't actually have to go into Scoutbook and click every requirement in order to make it completed. You could just click the completed box. So that's the difference between how things import, and that's why you have those two options with the complete merit badges and the merit badge requirements. Is some, even from camp, some counselors do it one way, some counselors do it the other way. I think it's important to remember when we're at summer camp that a lot of these counselors are sitting in the middle of the woods with minimal access to computers. So a lot of them are doing a paper process and transferring it over in bulk at the end.
So if you do see blanks, they could have done it, or maybe they didn't. So that's I guess that's my question.
Well, if there's a blank and it's not completed, if it doesn't come up as a completed, so if they don't have a complete blue card, and you could, by the way, let me go back to Black Pug. So you can go back to Black Pug here, and there's another report that's blue cards. There's two different versions. You could do plain paper.
Yeah, that's what they did, was plain paper, I think.
Right. So if you do the plain paper blue card, you'll actually see the ones that are right in the middle section. It says this person completed all of the requirements for this. It doesn't actually go and show a whole list of the requirements. It just says they're completed. So it's irrelevant whether or not they did all the requirements if the counselor is telling you that it's complete. That's all that we need to know. So
Well, you gotta take their word that it's completed, even though in the report it shows that the boxes aren't marked. A couple of boxes aren't marked.
true, and that would be true. That would be true of any merit badge, whether it comes from camp or from any other counselor. If the counselor says it's complete, that's what we go on, for completion of a merit badge.
Okay, I just wanted, because some came through that way and I was questioning it, but and I figured, well, it could be, you can do A, B, to have your choice. You got four choices and you have to do two out of the four. So that's what I was thinking it might be a part of. But until I looked at all the requirements, I didn't know if that was it or not.
Sure, and I understand there's a little confusion there. It's hard. It's sometimes hard to say, but I tend to err on the side of we need to give our camp counselors a little bit of slack. They've got very little time and very little resources to get all this data entered well at summer camp. So they're taking a couple of shortcuts, and if they're complete, and they may not go through every single box to check.
Okay,
So.
okay. That's why I'm here, to see what's going on.
Any other questions?
That's all I had for now.
Okay.
Is everybody having issues with units not recording their service hours? No issues.
I think we record, our unit, I think is recorded from a different, we haven't recorded it in the scout book, but it's recorded from some other place, and I'm not sure how we do it.
Anybody want to take that one? One of the other things that everyone may be new to the call, if your unit or you know of a unit that is struggling with Scoutbook and really needs a deep dive, somebody who can walk through the basics of it beyond what the Scoutbook primer shows you. And I've listed in the chat the primer on Scoutbook, the unit planner, and another very good primer on using Black Pug. We can make available an actual Scoutbook expert, not necessarily John or Andrew, but we've got others who are be willing to schedule a Zoom call with an individual who's really looking for some guidance and somebody who could be looking over their shoulder. It would be a screen share, obviously, because what we found is that that's the easiest way and most effective way to learn. You actually learn it by doing.
Right.
So if you have a unit leader who's really struggling, or you have a unit that has one person, but only one person who is familiar and is comfortable with Scoutbook, and then all of a sudden that person leaves, then the unit is stuck. And we always recommend that a unit has at least 2 people who are comfortable with Scoutbook. Not just beyond just being able to enter their son's or daughter's information, but really can understand how Scoutbook works. And if we can get every unit to have 2 people, that would be a great thing. I know all the members of the advancement committee for the council would be very happy with that. And there are several of us on this call. So just keep that one in mind. Any other questions? Apparently not. I mean, are those on the call? Did we answer all the questions you had when you jumped on? Because that's the key thing here. We want to make sure that if there are any questions, that we have answered them.
Well,
And for me, go ahead, Alan.
I've got another question. Has there been some changes to Scoutbook? Because I can't open up, say, a merit badge that I can't pull a merit badge down for a scout anymore. And I seem to be locked into not being able to then get in to see even current merit badges, that maybe they've worked on, but they're not complete yet. So I was wondering if there's been some kind of a change or something. I just, or even try to get like I say, a merit badge to come out and put into that. I know that person is working on it, but it doesn't look like that they've actually put it into Scoutbook. So I was trying to put it into Scoutbook myself. I'm a COR. So I should be, I'm an advancement chairman for the girl troop, and that's the one I'm working with. But I can't seem to be able to do it now. And this seems to just happen in the last, I don't know, well, 3 or 4 weeks, I guess.
Let me jump on that. I haven't run into that issue myself, so I don't know why that happens. But you asked the question, has there been any changes? There are constantly changes to Scoutbook. That's something that we're constantly having to adjust to what they do. And if you want to know what the changes are, the best way to find it is by looking at the scouting forums. If you go to discussions.scouting.org, this is where, first of all, you could ask questions of the real experts. But secondly, Scoutbook using Scoutbook, and if we go into here, there is always a section called Scoutbook change logs, and pretty much once a week there's an update where they tell us exactly what changed. Blue cards, an issue prevented from printing from some venturers has been fixed, Eagle application, permission slips. So they'll tell you exactly what they're doing week to week. If you're curious as to, oh, I just started seeing this problem, it would probably be explained here, or maybe it's related to something that they fixed and they caused another problem. But this is a place to really get that information. And
Okay.
conversely, it's also a place to just go into one of these subforums and ask a question. These people are always asking questions, and the users on here are real good about answering them.
Okay, sounds good.
Like I always tell people, as an IT person, I'm not smarter than you. I just know how to use Google. So I think it's a matter of knowing where to find the answers. And this is a real good resource when it comes to Scoutbook.
Can you put a link in there, John?
It's just simply discussions.scouting.org. I will put this on the
Yeah.
chat if I can figure out how to do that. Chat, there we go. There you go. So I don't have the answer to your direct question about the merit badges, but this is a side place here, on where to find information about what's changing and when it's changing.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for that. I was just gonna say, I didn't really have any questions. I saw the webinar on the scouting events page and I've used Scoutbook somewhat for my pack as a den leader, and was just looking to accumulate a little more knowledge and such too. So the links and things I think are going to be helpful.
Good. And any of us can answer any of the questions. So, if you have questions, just, circle back with particularly your advancement chair. Which district are you in, Steve?
Portage Creek.
Portage Creek. Oh, that's mine.
Yeah.
Steve, if you have questions specifically related to how to use it with Cub packs, I'm a committee chair of a pack, so we use Scoutbook extensively in our pack. In fact, we don't even use printed Cub books with our kids anymore. We do it all electronic. So, and we use the entire workflow. So either myself or somebody on my team, I've got a real good team between our pack advancement chair and some real good den leaders who are using it religiously. So if you get stuck on something, feel free to reach out.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions? Well, I think we can call it a night. Certainly, I want to thank everybody for jumping on this call. It's, we're getting toward the weekend, and I imagine a lot of units are still out on high adventure. At least some of them are. I know everybody's back from summer camp, certainly, but I know there are some still out there getting ready for school. But again, if you have any questions about Scoutbook, contact your advancement chair. The list is on the PTAC website under advancement. All of our contact information is in there. And feel to be reached out in whatever questions you have. That's why we're here. And I'm looking forward to a great year. Pat, are you still on?
Pat is in the other room giving a Scoutmaster minute right now.
Okay. I think he has control.
Oh, okay. So
administrator control.
His laptop is right next to me. I can hit the end button. All right. Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.